the happiness of oneness is what we just are discussing today. And when I say that, that is kind of a term, the happiness of oneness, that I just kind of made up for the show title. But in some of my readings and studies, the concept of oneness obviously is abound throughout not only different forms of spiritual practices, psychology, and just philosophy. It's what's going on. It's actually the only thing going on. This is the What I Need podcast, a shared journey exploring topics of society, spirituality, and even ways of being. Here, we speak freely and fully, from the heart and the conscious mind, in hopes to find what we need. Thank you, for your time is valuable and you could have been anywhere else in the universe. All of you are welcomed and appreciated here. Okay, so welcome back to the What I Need podcast. This is your host, King Carlton. I am thankful for my well-being. And I am thankful for the well-being of others. Okay, and yeah, so as we get into the show here, thankful for my well-being and thankful for the wellness of others. I'm thankful for my well-being and thankful for the well-being of others. You know, I opened my show like that for a while now. Why? Because we're going to actually talk about that in detail today on today's show. So today, the happiness of oneness. Let me slow down. Let me get a little lotus mudra going here and take a deep breath. I'm so excited. You know, this is the show where we explore society, spirituality, and ways of being with your host, King Carlton. Welcome to the show. So as I was saying, it's actually the only thing going on. But anyway, I want to talk about that. I want to bring understanding to that and produce more happiness out of the knowing of this concept, because that's really what it's done for me. And that's what my show is about. It's just kind of bringing whatever I've been able to experience to the forefront, and articulating that, you know, letting that be the content that I have put out into this intertron that we have here, and that hopefully it helps someone else to go on into their journey and really just benefit and love it. So let's get into it. Myself, what have I been up to recently? I have just been working on self. I've been doing a lot of self work and a lot of self care. What does that mean? I've been having to take some pauses to kind of really look at the parts of my life that I want to roll into a positive, beneficial change for myself. Everything is constantly changing. This concept of anicca is another concept I've been using. And I say using, but it's like anicca is a concept that goes on, and it's the concept of impermanence, meaning everything is impermanent in our physical world. It's always changing, right? So we should not run from that idea, but that we should meditate on and become comfortable with that idea. And when we have moments that feel a little bit more difficult, that we can take into our meditation, the concept of impermanence, not as this big scary thing, but as this, well, you know, you're not always going to feel that way. Oh, you might have broke up with your boyfriend. You might have had an argument, you know, with your spouse. You might have had to change jobs. Okay. Well, anicca, you know, let me remember anicca. Everything is
impermanent, these physical standpoints of our, terrestrial life. So let me, we just take a moment there then and just realize that it's impermanent. You're not changing anything. You're not changing the way the universe works by acknowledging a concept such as that. You are aligning to the ultimate nature of reality, the ultimate reality. And that's another thing too I want to, begin to talk about here on the show more. Again, not something that I'm not something that necessarily I'm bringing into the world that changes this. Oh, I can't believe he did that. Even for you, oh, I can't believe you did that. We are observing the way that it works, and then we are moving and making our actions based in that, so that we could just go along smoother and really merrily, life is about a dream. Live that dream, baby. So you could be rowing your boat merrily, okay? Instead of haphazard, you know, feeling like you want to. Do you want to go whitewater rafting, or do you want to go merrily? Life is about a dream. Okay, there's a couple different options, and you got options. So anyway, that's what I've been doing in my own personal endeavors is getting my raft or my buoy boat or whatever off to the side. Let me take pause and let me step onto this side here because I'm tired of the white river raft. I gotta, oh my God. So um it's cool to do that. It's really great when you do take that pause. You're not even really pausing, but it is great when you take that pause and slow things down a little bit, maybe step away from all of the socializing or the certain social groups that you might have been in and see what do you want to do for you. And that's what I've been doing, a lot of studying, and I've been practicing Buddhism, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and learning with that. Again, the philosophies, the principles, they're going on. It's just awareness about them. So it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed anything, I guess, except for perspective of how we look at it. Glass half empty or glass half full. Glass with your favorite lemonade filled to the top with ice. What do you want? So, um, shout out to I want to do a shout out. Shout out to the GR Amphitheater, new GR Amphitheater, Kid Cudi, Big Boy, and it was going to be MIA. I love you so much, girl. I know that your spicy self, I don't think you made it to Michigan because of something that came out of your mouth. That's what I heard. Um, but shout out to MIA anyway in her new album, Seven Trumpets, I think it's called. I love the album. It's a gospel album, and I love her song like Immaculate Heart as well. I'm probably gonna listen to that after this. But yeah, shout out to MIA, shout out to Kid Cudi, shout out to Big Boy on that tour right now, and thank you so much, you guys, for coming through and being one of the first performances here at our GR Amphitheater, bringing so much entertainment and talent into our city right here in the heart of downtown Grand Rapids. I love my city, and I love that growth for my city. Also, I want to shout out the new community center at Martin Luther King Park. I have done several meditations over there. In fact, one of the most latest episodes of Meditation with Carlton is shot over there at the Martin Luther King Park. So there's that. So back to today's topic, the happiness of oneness. So that is, I need to get my little screen a little bit bigger here. Bear with me, because I do want to see that a little bit more clear. Bam. Preview. No. We getting them. I wanted to, I guess, look cute without my glasses, but I should put them on probably, huh? Let's see. Magnifier. It's no shame in my game, honey. I'm about to put the magnifying glass over that thing. Yes, I am. Okay, so this is looking like, what is that talking about? Child, let me just make it larger. Okay. Like put it teleprompter size. I'm live. Okay, so the benefit of oneness, whether viewed through a spiritual, psychological, or interpersonal lens, is the profound dissolution of separation, which directly unlocks inner peace, multiplied collective strength, and compassion, a compassionate relationship with the world. Okay? So the reason why I bring that up is because sometimes we can feel so alone. Sometimes we can feel so isolated. Sometimes we can feel so that there's not another option. What am I going to do? I'm cornered. They got me. They've got me cornered. They've got me tight up. I can't. What am I going to do? And you know that type of feeling, even in the personal situations that you may have gone through. You know, I like to be open and honest with it, and that I've gone through addiction, and you know, starting off as a DJ, and hip hop artist out in California. Well, really here in Michigan, way back in '09, just right after I got out of high school. Even though it might look like I just did, but anyway, um, being in the nightlife for almost 20 years, you end up interacting with some things, right? You end up interacting with people. You end up interacting with things that go on after 12 a.m., after 2 a.m. Because I mean, if you're the DJ, you're staying there until 2 a.m. and you may not be tired after the show. They may want to go and get another drink here and there. They may want you to, come to the green room and have a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Hello, okay, you know. So the reason I bring that up now, as someone who is sharing awakening and sharing, that there is a path to enlightenment for all beings. Of course, I want to share the fact that I have had to battle with addiction, because I don't want people who also are having to deal with that to think that you are exempt and exiled from your enlightenment, that you are, not going to make it to your enlightenment because you have sullied yourself with drugs. That's not true. But what we do have to do is the work. What we do have to what we do have to do is face forward into the fact that something has gone on, that this world has things going on in it, and you don't have to even be shy or ashamed. This world knows it got some stuff going on in it, mixing all around up in there, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that going on. They know, it knows. Come on now. So to be scared of that and to be like, oh, I don't want him to know my secret. Drop it. Drop that secret. Drop that secret like it's hot. And let him know that you was able to survive anyway. So what you gonna do with that? Oh, well, let's celebrate it. I may not take the drink though, because so. But hey, I'll have that ice. I'll have a nice icy lemonade, raspberry cubes, and I will just sip on that. Highly refreshing and hydrating. Thank you very much. Anyway, so get it how you live, and no judgment. Just accountability. Accountability in this age of truth over judgment is the winner. Because people can judge you. You can even judge yourself. It does not matter. First of all, It does not matter, and it's detouring from the solution, because had the individuals taken accountability instead of wasted up so much time with judgment, the issue would already not be a non-issue. The issue would be a non-issue the faster we make it to accountability. The judgment is a fumble. The judgment is a fumble of the life bag. And so you don't want people external to you fumbling your life bag, and you don't want your internal being to be fumbling your life bag. I'm talking about life bag: abundant, creativity, joy, success, excitement, bliss, nirvana, awakening, enlightenment, dream come true. The life bag, we don't want nobody to get in the way of that. So there's a couple things that we've got to overcome. There's a couple things that we have to transcend in order for us to really get there. And I've been, like that's really what I've been chasing down, because, all of it, all of me gave me this thing called life, or however we want to say it. God gave me this life. I accepted this life. I am this life. However we need to say it. 'Cause I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to be in the books doing the studying. I'm going to be hands like this. I'm going to be praying. I'm going to be chanting. I'm going to be silent. I'm going to be meditating. I'm not going to argue with you. So anyway, because you start to realize that those things, which are all personal things, grant you such a foundation of peace that you could have argued till you blew in the face with who, and they went on mad about how you think about life. Meanwhile, something's going on that's going on either way. Okay. Meanwhile, it actually all plays out despite that argument. Regardless what you and who ever thought y'all different, when you really a part of the collective oneness anyway, honey. How you gonna be separate? You can think that you're separate, but then if you're separate, then how you not off and over there to the point where we can't even speak because you're separate? Never. I don't want to exempt them from the entire universe, because I don't think there's a way to even do that. But I want to zoom. I wanted to have that quick rant about debating and egotism blocking us out from having conversations like this, because whatever that atmosphere has been kind of the issue with expanding into enlightenment worldwide for quite some time. And I'm going to leave it there. Because I don't want to end up arguing with myself or creating, but there's a little bit of a hot button. I'm glad we were able to steam it up. I'm going to definitely need that glass of lemonade after this episode. But so let's get into, that was just the intro for our topic though here, the happiness of oneness. Collective and universal well-being. Okay. So embracing oneness with the universe or life as a whole shifts your perspective from isolation to deep interconnectedness. Ego reduction, letting go of the rigid self-identity that creates comparison, pride, anxiety, and inner serenity, quieting the chattering mind by recognizing that you are an extension of a larger organism, okay, or organism or life, okay, life itself. Okay, because like we look at, okay, so we think of organism, that's a scientific term. So we think organism. Oh, is he talking about the beetle? Oh, is he talking about the flower? Oh, is he talking about the deer? Oh, is he talking about the human? Well, what if all those things are something we consider to have life in them, and we consider them an organism, yet we don't consider the entire planet an organism that's just really big, and then yet we don't consider the entire universe as an organism, it's just everything. Why do we give a living function to an organism, but then take that concept of life away from things that don't seem like it's small enough to be a living creature or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Earth, Earth, and as I call her, Gaia, is definitely a living organism, and we are a part of her, and that's a great thing because we have this. We then are having this more of a at oneness, knowing that the human is not separate from the earth. And that actually works out really well. You know why? Because it's been working. It's been the only thing that we knew that worked out about our entire existence this whole time. What other way do you know it to be? Okay, so then that intellect, then that intellect is going up. Then that psychological mind is attuning to these larger truths. That anxiety is going down because we are talking about a larger truth. Taking a moment to change our perspective to that wide view. Okay, it makes you bigger than a lot of problems because the problem can be encompassed in that isolating area where it had you before, beating you up, punishing you and beating you up and bullying you around, right? Because a lot of times these problems and these when our logic stops off at a regular mortal human understanding, and we don't think we can go further than that, and we don't study the ancient texts, and we don't study the universal laws, and we don't study what great teachers have already came and did so much work. Oh, I hold gratitude for the avatars. I hold gratitude for those that came and taught here truth. I don't debate about them. Once you read it and you can see what's true and applicable to your life, but you made it through something called addiction, you made it through this hardcore drug, you made it through all these things that go on out there in the street, excuse me, I'm not going to argue about good and decent truth that avatars like the Buddha brought, avatars like Jesus brought, Christ. I'm not going to argue about what Krishna said that made sense. I am not going in the stories. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. Where's your 2,000 to 4,000 year resume? And let me see it, since you're so you know what I'm saying? So, and that's the mind of a spiritualist, right? That's where we're at. We're just trying to help though. You know. So anyway, let's see here. As we get into other attributes of this idea of the happiness of oneness. And I thank you for staying with me. I thank you for being open to I thank you for being open to this content. I'm trying my best to be really forward with sharing what I understand, and some of the things I've been willing to understand is a little bit more like whoa, probably than the average everyday person. Nobody's average and nobody's everyday to me. Every day is a miracle. Every day is a blessing. Every day is a miracle. Every day is profound. Every day is, inspirational. So I have to say certain things like everyday person sometimes just to put in perspective. But see, I don't even believe in that. Anyway, we do have to, we do find a way to express to one another so that we can communicate. And I feel like the more that we put respect around that communication and love around that communication, we're able to expand the collective consciousness, we're able to expand happiness and share it with other people. But we have to break down a couple barriers and a couple walls first in order to do that. And that means I'm going to have to understand you and say yes to you. That means I'm going to have to understand you and say yes to you. That means I'm going to have to understand me and take no for an answer. Not take no. That means I'm going to have to understand me and say I love me and not take no for an answer. And reflect that or radiate that. Okay? So ego reduction, that's where we left off. The happiness of oneness. Today's topic on the What I Need podcast. It's your boy King Carlton, and this is just a solo episode today, so I won't have you on here too much longer. But I'm so thankful for your presence. I'm so thankful for you as a being. I'm so thankful that you are willing to try your best in this life to expand and unfold to your highest potential. And I just have gratitude for you even laying eyes at all on this show, on this podcast, laying eyes, ears, attention, awareness on the podcast with me today, and just going over this with me today, and really learning with me. We're actively learning together right now, and that's what my show really is too. It's not necessarily that, I'm sharing an opinion. Let me slow down. My gosh, I'm really excited. I'm sharing an opinion, right? But I'm also sharing. I do have facts pulled up. And I do have books, I have books out and facts pulled up, but I'm articulating it. I'm articulating it through my personality. And then I have a little bit of opinion in it. Isn't that what a podcast is? I don't know. So anyway, ego reduction. Letting go of the rigid self-identity that creates comparison, pride, and anxiety. So we did go over that, and that's what it helps to reduce. This understanding of the happiness of oneness. In inner serenity, quieting the chattering mind. Okay, we did that one already. Active empathy. Recognize yourself in others, which naturally fosters kindness and eliminates hostility. Yeah, I think that's something I can relate to every single day, really. And that I would hope and pray that spreads and expands throughout this entire world, so that we could really begin to have more peace, even more peace than we do now. And I know they would say we're at war. I wish we could call war something else. And I wish that they would stop lying, as well in certain situations, because some of the things that are going on, are they? Anyway, I pray. I like to watch the news, never, if I could, and then pray all the time about happiness throughout the world, with peace throughout the world and happiness for all living beings. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Okay, because the news may say what it will and what it says. And that may or may not be true. But I know if I prayed for peace throughout the world and happiness for all living beings every day of my life, okay? And then what reality do I start to experience with that level of prayer, with that level of meditation? The internal world reflects the external. So if I want to help bring a halt to war on the planet, I've got to work on my inner world. I've got to focus my attention on that, what I want to produce into the world. And then, the spirituality part comes into it, the faith part comes into it, and God might just answer that prayer. You might just answer that prayer, however you want to say it. The universe might just answer that prayer for you just because you've been praying towards that, and that's the world that you live in. That's what they're like. Oh, baby, that's what you want. if the universe talked like a big mama. Oh baby, baby, is that what you want? You gonna pray for no war, and peace throughout the world, happiness for all living. Get that baby what they want. We can put whatever personality needs to be there, or not. We can put the term and this and that, or just pray. That's where I'm at with it. To take the division, because some of these things that separate us from, being in the same room to have a moment together, or like, well, I'm not like them. I don't do it like that. Well, them such and such, they think that they're this and that, but then turn around and do it bop bop bop. Okay, stop it. I've seen it too, and some of those things are, yes, annoying, but guess what? That's not going to be the ultimate answer, to have this person talk about how they do it and this person talk about how they do it and be like, oh, pitch posh. What's going to bring it together is hands together like this and some kind of peaceful intention stirring around up in that being, okay? And that's where our spiritual, cats, that's where we're at. And, I hope that we all get there to a place where it's just not, okay? Where it's more like this, almost like it was a sphere or globe, right? What we're on, instead of like, okay? And then we'll be better off for it. Trust me. So, optimism, living with the foundational belief that you are supported by and synchronized with the flow of nature. That's me right there. Optimistic Prime. That's me. Anyway, sorry. Optimistic Prime. That's me. So anyway, that's my other name. My name is Vernon, by the way, too. I don't know if I've ever said that on the show, but my name is Vernon. I go by King Carlton as my stage name, and it's not that I'm trying to lie to you. I just have a stage name. So I just want to mention that, just in case that was ever a problem. I guess 1,000 years, 2,000 years down the line, they'd be like, he was a great mentor and teacher, but he always lied about his name, and nobody ever knew the real him. Vernon, okay, it's not it's fine. It's gonna be fine. So optimism, living with the foundational belief that you are supported by and synchronized with the flow of nature. That is a meditation right there. Like where we would just sit, and you could do like this, you could do like this. I've been liking this lotus one, this lotus seed one. You can just put that right there and just hold it. And we could do a quick one right now. Let's just, right here on the show, that I am willing to live with the foundational belief that I am supported by and synchronized with the flow of nature. Supported, synchronized with the flow of nature. I am full of optimism. I express optimism. Thank you. And then, so we just let that be a quick meditation. And what is meditation? Meditation is a moment where you are taking your awareness or your attention span and placing it on concept, being. So there's different kind of meditations. There's completely silent meditations, which I'm a huge fan of, where you're really trying to get to the stillness, where nothing has to be said and nothing has to be, you're not really letting, there's nothing that is being, and I can take you guys through one of those. I don't mean nothing as in like, oh, you're like a loss of. I mean nothing as in really being in that expanse of stillness. Okay. Then there's meditations where you focus on a concept or teaching, right? You can meditate on gratitude. You can meditate on optimism, like we just did there. And we had an intention that we're, intending to be willing to. The intention is willingness to live with the foundational belief that you are supported, and synchronized with the flow of nature. So then that basically gets you to going into that when the thoughts come back in, the thoughts are having to kind of go through that filter first. Like almost like, let's go back to our lemonade. So we want to make a lemonade, but we want no pulp, right? Okay, so I'm squeezing my lemonade and I got this filter, and it's a filter of optimism. So I was optimistic about having no pulp, right? Filter. Oh, look, I don't have any pulp in my lemonade. I had a filter that filtered out all the pulp. Maybe pulp could be negative thought forms, negative and backward going ideas that we do not necessarily always want there. Even sometimes having to deal with the negative thought forms and ideas still pushes the being forward. It still pushes us forward because we have an opportunity to overcome those. But you also get to a point in life where you can have a few glasses of lemonade with no pulp. Believe it or not. Okay, let's get into this next one. Where am I at? Because I don't want to keep you guys too long. Okay, we're at 36 minutes. Spiritual and faith-based dimensions. So it says in Christian theology and spiritual practices, oneness and unity of the spirit is considered an activated state of divine power. So, and of course, Google flies into mentioning Christianity first, primarily, which I don't have a problem with, but I see you, girl. Okay, so that is the concept of the Christ, though. And as I have explained on this show, this is also the concept of the Buddha. It is articulated in different ways, both that I think are beautiful. There is personal and egotic debate about that. I don't have an issue. Unity of the spirit or Buddhahood or the realizing the Buddha or realizing the ultimate truth, ultimate reality. Let me stop. I don't want to bring any division for people that want to argue about it. But from a spiritual standpoint, okay, we got agape. Like when I'm with my Reverend Michael people, we're like, we get it. Oneness. It's collective oneness. Yeah, we know. Shout out Agape. Shout out Agape Spiritual Center. I have not been with you guys in so long, but I miss you so much. And shout out Reverend Michael Beckwith. That's my preacher, and he very much facilitated and taught me how to be like this. I've always been like this, but when I met him and I've gone to his spiritual gathering a couple of times, was when I felt like it's okay for me to be like this, and I do want to shout him out because that's one of the voices in this time that has an elder in the community to bring, first of all, to be such a rebel at a time, the fire that you had to go through, sir, to be able to create the foundation that you have created, and to create the open and agape loving understanding that you have created in the world. What a journey. And I'm glad that you made it. I'm glad that you made it through that journey, because what I feel like I've realized in being such a spiritual person, a self-proclaimed spiritualist, shaman, to go from practicing as a Baptist Christian to a Buddhist, you can still encounter flaming arrows and really you are really just trying to be about peace. And you are really just trying to bring these people to enlightenment. It's like you both said it. You both said enlightenment. Please don't be mad at me. So I just think, and it's literally no shade other than that which is in the duality that we are to bring to oneness, which is our other than the shade that exists in the duality, which is all one anyway. That's why they got it in a circle and it's bam right together. Okay, so we have to be bold sometimes in order to press the envelope of agape love, and it is all love. I rest my case again, spicy. Okay, it doesn't, and it's really not. It's oneness. There's only oneness. Multiple, the multiplied potential, and everybody. This is what I also say: remain where you are. Feel free to remain where you are. If you're practicing Christianity, you're practicing Buddhism, you're practicing Ifa, you're practicing natural medicine. Feel free to remain where you are. The love that I have for you has also stayed exactly where it's at. And hold on, I need to breathe into that for a second. As long as you have a pathway to your enlightenment, you're good. As long as you have a pathway to your enlightenment, you're good. And I think that's a safe way to round that off. So, multiple potential shifting from one individual effort, multiplied potential, shifting from one individual effort to an indomitable corporate strength. Two can withstand an adversary. Okay. Divine favor. Okay, divine favor. Activating spiritual blessings, peace. Oh, this sounds like me right here. Activating spiritual blessings, peace, breakthroughs that are blocked by division or strife. Okay, so we want to. Okay, let's tune into here. The happiness of oneness. We want to be able to access divine favor, activating spiritual blessings, peace, and breakthroughs that were blocked by division and strife. When we meditate on the oneness, just that you want to release us versus them thinking. And then we'd say that as an affirmation, I am willing to release us versus them thinking. I am willing to release us versus them thinking within. I'm willing to release us versus them thinking externally. I accept oneness. I flow with oneness. Ashe, Asheo. Oops. Ashe. Because then you're joining the team. And then you're joining the team. You might have been outside living in that duality, having to be like, like, okay, you are called. Maybe everybody's not like doing it like that, but some people are. And then some people wonder, Carlton, what is wrong with you? It's like you live in your own world where everything is just rosy, even if you've gone through hell. And I'm like, yeah, it is. I'm not scared of that. Child, I'm not scared of that. They don't even know, the end of it. That they. I keep saying they. Anyway, I'm giving that up, and my journey to giving that up, it takes time. It does take time. This idea of oneness is not something that a lot of times when I tell people about this, they're like, I've never heard of that before. All they've heard is duality. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's for a time frame, okay? That duality came from somewhere and was allowed to be instead of not. Maybe it was planned to be so that we could learn something out of that duality moment. But, yeah. Okay? We want to further understand. Shared generosity. Creating an interdependent ecosystem where the growth of one member actually elevates the whole body. Okay? That's something that is expressed throughout multiple cultures and ways of faith. Powerful testimony. Oh, we love a powerful testimony. That's what the What I Need podcast is. Serving as a beacon of hope and harmony to otherwise fractured worlds. So that's kind of what today is. Just me expressing that there is a idea of happiness in the acknowledgement of oneness. And it's kind of difficult, even though I've done a lot of explaining here and a lot of hyped up explaining on this show today, and just sharing of understanding and concept. You would have to see for yourself. And that's where you will begin to realize it can be the smallest things. It can be really big things like, oh my goodness, I can't believe like the synchronicity hit me like that day. And if this didn't happen in that way, then I would have been, SOL. And you start to realize those moments. And then it's like, it's all one. It is all one. The way that it's all one, it's mystic. It's mystical. So that's why you have teachings in the world that observe this mystic law, right? You have teachings in this world that express the mystery of Christ, right? You have teachings in this world that psychologically go over the concept of synchronicity, Carl Jung. Okay? Do we argue amongst that? Or do we realize even that is all one? And then go forward into the next day with this big smile. We might have had to go to sleep with a little bit of a headache trying to understand it. But that headache will pass. And a big smile will be on your face, trust me, once you have at least tried to understand. And we do get points. We do get universal points for trying to understand. We do get universal points for studying research. We do get universal points for saying good prayers. We do get universal points for having a good meditation and getting the clarity. Okay? You don't have to be an expert and be able to take it to debate with somebody, or it's not valid by the next 24 hours. That's not what this whole thing is about. That's not what this journey is about, I don't think. This journey is about give this journey is about living your life, loving your life, coming to love others, and just having gratitude and allowing that to grow and unfold and allow yourself to evolve through that, allow yourself to grow, allow yourself to grow. That's all nature is doing. When the universe, wherever and whenever the universe started, and as it cultivated the stars and solar systems and galaxies, okay, and lived by its own quantum attributes, creative intelligence, up into this moment right here, where you're listening to this podcast, that was growth. Just like the growth that you were when you were in your mother's womb, cultivating your bone structure, your skin, your eyes, your brain, your body parts, your everything that you need until you were delivered to her in her arms. That was growth. To the point that you have went to elementary school, middle school, high school, graduated college. And again, we're listening to the show. I'm recording the show. I've been through personal growth. You've been through growth. Is that a oneness of growth? Is that happiness of oneness that we can meditate on and just give acknowledgement to, that it's happening in that way? So interpersonal and rational synergy, symmetric communication, promoting balanced dialogue where there's equal airtime. Oh my goodness, well, there hasn't been any of that today because it's been a solo podcast, but I hope that we have gained a mutual understanding that can be prioritized. And that's my last note for today on the What I Need podcast, as we explore the concept of oneness and specifically the happiness of oneness. I have a couple of things I want to read here out of a wonderful book I'm reading presented by World Tribune and our good friends over at the SGI. Where's my... Well, I guess I don't need to see the camera. I'll just have faith that it's good. So, oneness. Here's the book. 20 life-changing Buddhist concepts. So this is a wonderful book, again presented by the World Tribune, and I'll tell a little joke from it. It says, "What did the Buddhist say to the hot dog vendor?" And "make me one with everything," is what the Buddhist said. And I do think that's a funny joke. And oneness provides ways to imagine and achieve a more expansive concept of the self as fundamentally connected with other people, creatures, and things. Such views are such views present profound challenges to Western hyper-individualism and its excessive concern with self-interest and tendency towards self-centered behavior. So what that statement to me means is that, and I have seen this. Of course, I grew up in the West, and a lot of us are probably listening to this in the United States. We have very much so been individually centered. What can I get? What can I achieve? Me against them. I've got to be the best. I've got to be the up-and-comer. Just by way of the nature of our country and how it's come together, right? So what the book is saying there is that this may be a harder concept for Westerners to kind of understand. And by Westerners, I don't just mean let me just be outright with it. I don't just mean Caucasian people. I mean Westerners, those of us that have grown up in America. So even in the Black community, Latino community, uh, Asians that may have grown up here in the West, we, in a way, leave behind our concept that a lot of our cultures engage with: reciprocity. Reciprocity, reciprocity. Shout out to African spirituality. Shout out Ifa. Huh. We're already observing. Um, when we were in those days, already observing oneness. We diverged from that because of some westernization, and I'm not demonizing westernization, but I'm also saying you can move how you want to move, and you can learn and recondition yourself back to some more foundational and original understandings. Reciprocity is a huge concept in African spirituality, and oneness is oneness. So there's different things that talk about it, and then Buddhism is one of them too. So again, when we kind of go beyond these walls that make us feel like, oh, I feel uncomfortable talking to this or that person. Just get over it for a second. I mean, if your faith feels that fragile, then maybe you need to, have some kind of like existential conversation. Um, Challenging as it may be, this notion of oneness offers a way towards discovering greater, more profound sense of happiness for individuals as well as society. Okay? We've seen that life at any instant possesses the potential of the entire universe, while at the same time permeating the entire universe. And it's like a mind-blowing concept, right? Sometimes the mind needs to be blown. Sometimes the mind needs to be blown as in cleared completely away, because we allow some negative thoughts, or we allow some self-limiting beliefs. So sometimes we need a nice little statement like that to be like, what? To kind of blow the mind. So yeah, that you can be blown back and be like, hold on. Oh, wow, okay, so I have much less problems than I ever thought. In fact, there may not even be a problem. It's a transformational moment for me to expand. You're absolutely right. So I also want to go over this is the last thing. The 10 onenesses and more. Again, that's coming from the book 20 Life-Changing Concepts, Buddhist Concepts. The great teacher, Mayo Lao, I hope I'm saying his name right, drawing from the teachings of the Lotus Sutra, introduced the idea of 10 onenesses. They are the oneness of body and mind, the oneness of internal and external, the oneness of result of practice and the true nature of life, the oneness of cause and effect, the oneness of the impure and the pure, the oneness of life and its environment, the oneness of self and others, the oneness of thought, word, and deed, the oneness of provisional and true teachings, and the oneness of benefits. So these are different kind of onenesses. These are different kind of onenesses that one could study to really gain a further foundation about this concept of oneness, and then you will start having epiphanies about, wow, I've already witnessed this so many times in my life. I've already benefited from having this kind of filter and way of understanding about my life. And it really opens me up to just expand so much more with the universe that has always been expanding, even before this life, this flesh and blood life. Before it, that universe has always been expanding. So now that I'm ready to flow with the way that it is, I can begin to expand as well in these great ways. And we can live in more amazement. We really can. We can live in so much more divine favor, as it said, when we do that. We have a tendency in understanding to not hurt others because that is you, to not hurt the environment because that is you, to not go to war because those people over across the sea, they are you. And not to hurt our world because it is you. You know? And that's kind of that is the understanding of oneness. And it's really cute. So anyway, I love you guys. I feel lovey-dovey. Let's give ourselves a hug. And let's do it again slower here. And then let's do this hug and just think about the happiness of oneness as a possibility, as a fact, as a filter of way of thinking in the mind, as hope. I want to thank you guys so much for checking out today's episode. It has been your host, King Carlton. This is the What I Need podcast. We are signing off. Have a blessed day.